Fear doesn't announce its arrival. It doesn't knock on your door or introduce itself with fanfare. By the time you notice, it's already there, a shadow slipping beside you, heavy as a stone pressing against your chest. You might not recognize it at first, but you feel it in the decisions you dodge, in the steps you hesitate to take. It's a quiet visitor, yet it carves deep marks along your path. Nietzsche saw fear as a paradox. It paralyzes us, yet it also guides us, an inevitable companion on the journey of growth. Carl Jung, meanwhile, believed that what you fear most, the thing you avoid facing, isn't an enemy but a part of yourself crying out for attention. What if, instead of running, you turned to face it? What if fear were less an obstacle and more an invitation? This isn't about being fearless, for fearlessness is a mirage. It's about trembling yet stepping forward, choosing to act even when fear lingers. Today, fear arrives like a storm, sudden and overwhelming, impossible to ignore. It disrupts everything, throws us off balance, and dismantles the certainties we wear like armor. For many, the instinct is to run, to seek the nearest shelter. But Nietzsche saw fear differently. He believed the chaos it brings isn't a curse, but an opportunity. One must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star, he said, suggesting that fear isn't an end, but a prelude to something new and vital. This chaos unsettles us because it strips away the familiar. Picture a house unchanged for years, safe, predictable, but worn by time. The chaos of fear is like an unexpected renovation, tearing down walls and stirring dust. At first, everything feels worse, but in time, the space transforms into something grander. Nietzsche viewed fear as that moment of uncertainty and vulnerability, paving the way for new creations. So what do we do when this discomfort finds us? Nietzsche tells us we face a choice: retreat into comfort or leap into the unknown. Both paths are valid, but courage only emerges when we decide comfort isn't enough. It's a deliberate act, letting go of safety to create something that doesn't yet exist. Imagine someone trapped in a predictable yet unfulfilling routine, perhaps a job that pays the bills but saps their spirit, or a relationship that no longer sparks joy yet persists out of fear of solitude. These situations can linger for years until the inner discomfort reaches a breaking point. That's the chaos, the moment fear appears not as a foe, but as a signal that change is overdue. Nietzsche didn't see fear as something to erase. He saw it as a guide, a message challenging us to become more than we are. The discomfort isn't a barrier, but an invitation. The question isn't whether we'll feel fear that's certain. The question is what we'll do with it: ignore it and stay stagnant, or embrace it as part of transformation. Fear often rises not from the world outside but from within, a mirror to the parts of ourselves we refuse to face. Jung called this the shadow, a collection of everything we reject: flaws, desires, memories, even talents that intimidate us. These don't vanish when we turn away. They grow stronger in the dark, waiting to emerge. Fear, in this light, is a voice echoing from those depths, demanding we listen. What you resist persists, Jung warned, reminding us that avoiding what troubles us only deepens the wound. Picture someone who dreads speaking in public. Their first instinct might be to sidestep every chance, hoping the anxiety fades. But each avoidance feeds the fear, as if it gains strength in silence. The dread isn't just about the speech, it's tied to something deeper, perhaps an insecurity about worth or a terror of judgment. This is the shadow at work, begging to be met. The shadow isn't our enemy, it's a piece of us craving integration. Jung believed self-awareness isn't just a climb toward light but a descent into darkness. Facing the shadow doesn't mean destroying it but welcoming it as part of who we are. It's like stepping into a room we've avoided for years. At first, the shadows loom large, but when we flip the switch we see they're fragments of our story, left unattended. Think of someone dodging a past trauma, fearing the pain or believing it's already conquered. Ignored. That trauma doesn't dissolve, it morphs into anxiety, sleepless nights, or quiet self-sabotage. It's a pressure cooker. building force until it bursts. Jung would call this the shadow calling, urging us to unearth and understand what's been buried. Fear here is a compass, pointing to what needs our gaze. Jung teaches us courage isn't about silencing fear but hearing it. What is this feeling showing me? What part of me is stepping into view? The answers may sting, but in that sting lies the chance to become whole. Courage is a process, not a prize. It's not an inborn trait but a choice we renew, especially when fear threatens to freeze us. Nietzsche saw it as a deliberate act, a decision to move forward even as your pulse quickens and your mind paints failure in vivid hues. He who has a why to live almost anyhow, he said, tying courage to purpose. When something matters deeply, courage becomes inevitable. But it's not the absence of fear, it's defined by its presence. Jung adds that courage also lives in turning inward, facing what terrifies us most. Integrating the shadow isn't a single leap but a daily practice, like opening a window in a stifled room, knowing the chill will bite before it refreshes. Consider the artist who finally shares their work with the world. They risk rejection, criticism, or silence, yet they act because their truth outweighs the fear. Or the professional who asks for a raise, confronting not just denial but the chance of being misjudged. These seem small, but they're profound steps against the tide of doubt. Courage also shines in quieter choices, breaking a toxic habit with no promise of success, or starting anew in an unfamiliar city. These acts may lack witnesses, but they demand vast strength. Courage isn't about grand heroics, it's a habit forged in small, steady choices that declare, fear won't rule us. The bravest act might be accepting fear's permanence yet refusing its command. With each step taken despite it, we grow freer, truer to ourselves, ready for what lies ahead. Courage often whispers, revealing itself in ordinary moments with extraordinary weight. Picture someone leaving a familiar life for a new city. For years, they lingered in a place that no longer fed their soul. Moving felt reckless, abandoning friends, family, a steady job. Fear warned of ruin, but discontent roared louder. With a heavy heart, they packed and stepped into the void. Early days brought no relief, fear clung to every struggle. But slowly, it yielded to discovery the strength to craft a life that fit. Or consider someone guarding their heart after past wounds, walls high against connection. Then someone stirs them, sparking a tug-of-war between longing and dread. They choose vulnerability, risking rejection for the chance at something real. The ending may not be flawless, but the act unlocks richer bonds. Transformation hides in small gestures too. A student, riddled with doubt, enters a contest, daring to shine. Another, after months of delay, books a doctor's visit to face a nagging fear. Alone, these choices seem minor. Together, they weave resilience that rewrites lives. Courage surprises us in daily turns, leaving an abusive tie with no map ahead, quitting a safe job for a dream others call foolish, or picking up a hobby at 40 despite whispers of inadequacy. These seeds, planted in uncertainty, bloom over time, reshaping our story. Courage isn't about sure wins, it's the will to act when outcomes blur, a cycle pulling us beyond fear toward who we're meant to be. Fear never leaves. It's a companion that stays, woven into our being. Nietzsche saw this chaos as vital, keeping us awake to what's at stake. Jung echoed this, noting the shadow our fears, flaws, hidden desires never fades. It's a mirror to our humanity. We crave control, chasing certainty to banish weakness. But fear, conquer one public speaking, say and another rises, failing bigger, or facing success's weight. It shifts because it's tied to our growth. And maybe that's not a flaw. Fear proves we're alive, that we care. It's the wind testing a tree, coaxing deeper roots. Before a big shift, new job, ended bond fierce whirls, doubt, judgment, the foggy future. Yet it's a sign these steps matter, a threshold to something vast. Living isn't about erasing fear but walking with it. That chest-tightening knot won't vanish, but our response can shift. It's not an enemy, but a marker of meaning. Accepting its stay frees us. We don't wait for perfect calm to move. Fear lingers, but courage does too, born in the tension that fuels our path. Nietzsche and Jung light this road. Nietzsche casts fear's chaos before creation, a spark for transformation. He dares us to see discomfort as a gateway. Jung names it the shadow's voice, craving acceptance. Together, they frame fear as inevitable, our response as defining. Courage isn't a fixed star but a daily choice, built in steps amid doubt. List your chaos, your shadow. What's one move you can make today? What's your why? Nietzsche says it carries you through anyhow. Fear walks beside you, not to block but to push, guiding you to your truest self, an authentic life where every step, even the shaky ones, nears your dancing star. Fear and courage dance together, as Nietzsche and Jung reveal, shaping a life of true freedom. Fear isn't a foe to vanquish but a guide to embrace, pointing us toward growth and wholeness. From chaos springs creation, from the shadow, self-awareness. Every choice to act despite trembling hands builds a freedom truer than comfort's illusion. We invite you to join this journey. Subscribe, like, and share your thoughts below. Tell us your fears, your why, or the next topic you'd love explored. Your voice fuels our mission to inspire and uplift. Let's keep stepping toward our dancing stars together.